She mixed with the rich and famous, presidents and royalty.
I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I wish her well.
But also a prolific paedophile.
We need to get to the bottom of everybody who was involved with that, starting with Ghislaine Maxwell.
Now Ghislaine Maxwell is in court and on trial. After decades of explosive abuse allegations, she's now facing the fight of her life. So who is Ghislaine Maxwell? What charges is she facing, and will she take the stand? Ghislaine Maxwell is 59 years old, the ninth and some say favourite child of the disgraced media mogul Robert Maxwell. She worked for her father as director of Oxford United Football Club, which he owned, and at his newspaper, The European. Robert Maxwell even named his yacht, the Lady Ghislaine, after her, the very yacht from which he disappeared in 1992. His body was later found floating in the sea.
And I love him and I miss him. And to be angry is pointless. He's dead.
After her father's death, Ghislaine Maxwell moved to New York, using her connections to continue living among the elite.
We were all part of the sort of British expat world in New York. And she was this sort of glamorous, mysterious, exotic person. She was always name-dropping that she'd been with incredibly important, powerful people, whether it was Henry Kissinger or Bill Clinton.
We've never known the truth about the relationship between Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. At one point, it was romantic, and then it seemed to shift into something professional and financial.
Ghislaine was madly in love with him, everybody said at the time, and that was very unfortunate, people told me, because he was not madly in love with her. He used her. She was somebody who introduced him to all the powerful people she knew, the powerful people she'd grown up with as the daughter of Robert Maxwell.
In 2008, Jeffrey Epstein pleaded guilty to soliciting and procuring a minor for prostitution. He struck a controversial deal with prosecutors to spend 18 months in prison. He served just 30 and was allowed to leave each day. In 2019, new sex trafficking charges were brought against Jeffrey Epstein, and he was denied bail. But before he was brought to trial, he died in jail in an apparent suicide. Some worried that the hopes of uncovering the truth about Jeffrey Epstein died when he did. This trial is now perhaps the best chance of unlocking some of the mystery surrounding him. The crimes are alleged to have taken place in London, where Ghislaine Maxwell had a house, at Mr. Epstein's mansion in Palm Beach, Florida, at his sprawling ranch in New Mexico, and here at his vast townhouse in Manhattan. Ghislaine Maxwell is facing 6 counts of sex trafficking between 1994 and 2004 against 4 alleged victims. Prosecutors say the youngest was 14 years old. Essentially, she stands accused of grooming young women, gaining their trust, buying them gifts, normalising sexual conversations, all so Jeffrey Epstein could abuse them. Ghislaine Maxwell has consistently denied the charges and pleaded not guilty. After Epstein's death, there was a search for his friend and former girlfriend, who police eventually tracked down and arrested on a remote estate in New Hampshire called Tucked Away. She has been in jail ever since, repeatedly refused bail and put on suicide watch. Her brother Ian Maxwell has taken issue with the way she's been treated.
She's lost weight, she's losing her hair. We know that she's suffered some kind of physical abuse because she had a black eye.
Do you believe that your sister has been beaten by prison guards?
I think she has suffered some occasional physical abuse at the hands of her guards, yes.
12 jurors will decide Ghislaine Maxwell's fate in a trial expected to last at least 6 weeks. It has yet to be revealed exactly what evidence prosecutors will present here at court and who is cooperating with them. But pre-trial hearings suggest they will call an expert witness on grooming and show the jury a contacts book. It is also possible they have footage from the extensive CCTV systems that Jeffrey Epstein had installed in his homes. Each side will have a very different strategy.
The challenge for prosecutors is to make sure that these witnesses are believable, right? To present their testimony in a way that plugs the memory gaps. Because there's been such long periods of time here that the defense will argue they've made up their minds via other means. Prosecution must fight that.
We don't know if Ghislaine Maxwell will testify, but her defence team probably don't know either. That decision is often made late on, but has its dangers.
Generally speaking, most criminal defendants don't testify. There's an inherent risk in testimony because you open yourself up to extensive cross-examination, as to prior criminal conduct, prior bad acts, prior immoral conduct possibly. So that decision has not been made yet, but it's unlikely just statistically speaking.
If convicted, Ghislaine Maxwell faces decades in jail, and she may not be the last Epstein associate to go on trial.